Okay, hello everyone, and let's do our homework together. For the first one, and use a calculator to determine the value of each trigonometry ratio to 4 decimal places where necessary. And for this part, you need to use your calculator. And first, click sine or cosine or tangent. Then second, you can just put the number there and the degree. And that's it. And I will show you the first one and science. The first, when you have the calculator, the first thing you need to check and press model. And for the third one, and this is radians or degree, you need to choose degree. Because when we put a number in our calculator, this is automatically regard this is degree. So okay, and you need to make sure this one, and then we exit. And then we can press sine and then 68. Make sure you have the bracket and press enter. So it's 0.92718, and we need 4 decimal place. So the answer is 9272. So the answer is 0.9272. Okay, so now you can do the rest by yourself. And the second, use a calculator to determine the value of each trigonometry ratio to the 4-digit place. The same thing. The only one different is this one is decimal, but you can just put the point there by yourself. And for this one, in each case, use a calculator to determine the measure of the acute angle to the nearest degree. And for this one, what we need to do, when you use your calculator, you always need to find the negative here on the top, and then press the point 7612 for this one. Okay, let's use the calculator to do this one. And for this one, the first thing is you need to press shift, and then you can find there's a -1 on the top, and then you can put the number is 0.7612 and press enter, and it's 49.57. And then we need to the nearest degree, so we just it's 50 degree. Okay, and then some student will maybe ask, okay, how could I do e? And for the square root, and the same things, we just press square root there, and let's do together. First things is we can press shift tangent, and then you can see the -1, and then we use our shift square root and then 3 there, and then we press enter, so it's 60. So the answer is okay. So don't forget, like, if some of your calculator has the bracket, some you don't. If you don't, just put the brackets there by yourself. And then the number 4, the same things, but this one you need the 10 to the 10th of a degree. Okay, number 5, and explain using diagrams why the sine ratio at angle of 20 is smaller than the sine ratio for angle of 40 degree. And for here, and we just set up like they have the same hypotenuse, and then if they have the same hypotenuse, for example, this is 20, and so they have the same hypotenuse, so this is 40, and this is A, this is B, and for sine A equals to, for here is, we can just say, and sine equals to opposite divide to hypotenuse. And for these two, and the hypotenuse are the same. And for here, and we can see from the triangle and 40 degree, the opposite is larger than the 20 degree. And of course, and the sine 40 is larger than sine 20. Okay? Okay, number 6. And for this one, we'll compare cosine. And for cosine, and the hypotenuse are the same. And for this one is like 30 degree, and then one maybe 70 degree. For the cosine equals to adjacent side divide hypotenuse. And then we can know for the hypotenuse the same, and for the adjacent, and for cosine 30 degree, the adjacent is larger than the adjacent of 70 degree. And then of course, and the cosine 30 is larger than cosine 7. Then for number 7, And look, we can look at draw the two angle, and one is 15 degree, and one is 50 degree. And for the hypotenuse are the same. And for this part, and for the tangent equals to opposite divide adjacent. And from the triangle, we can know like the opposite, like 50 degree, is larger than opposite 10 degree. And then for the adjacent, 50 degree is smaller than adjacent 10 degree. In this way, and we can find if we divide these two, and for the 50 degree, it has the larger numerator and the smaller denominator. And for the 15 degree, it has the smaller numerator and larger denominator. And of course, we can know and 50 tangent 50 is larger than 15. And then for the rules, we can find for here, and for sine, for the theta, when this gets larger and the value get larger. And for the cosine theta, when the theta get larger and the value get smaller. And for the tangent theta, when the theta get larger, the value get larger. Okay, let's look at number 8. And for sine 58 and sine 32. And for this one, sine 58 has the greater value because the rules, and for tangent 56 and tangent 86. And for this one, 86 degree is larger than 56 degrees, so tangent 86 has a great value. And the sine 54 and the cosine 54. And we know, and for the sine 74, and when the value is get larger, and this one is larger, and the cosine, when the degree gets larger, but the value gets smaller, so it's 77. Sine 74 is larger. And you need to know when the degree is 45 and sine equals to cosine 45, and then when the degree gets larger and the sine gets larger, and then when the degree gets smaller than 45 and the cosine is larger. And for B, and the cosine 67 and the cosine 4, and we know, and the cosine 35 cosine 35 is larger. And D, sine 29 and the cosine 29. For this one, we know, and 29 is smaller than 45, so cosine 29 is larger. And for last one, F, and both sine and sine 60, cosine 60, and tangent 60, and which has a great value. And for this one, and for sine and cosine, they always between 0 and 1. And for tangent 60 is larger than 1 because tangent 45 equals to 1. And 60 degree is larger than 45 degree. And of course, tangent 60 is larger than 1. So, and the tangent 6 has the greater value. For number 9. And you can just find the value by yourself by using the calculator. And as the angle increase from 0 to 90 degree, and the cosine x just decrease from 1 to 0. And for the tangent, and for the if one for example like this degree is like close to 90, and so this line is close, and for the opposite divides to adjacent, and for adjacent is tend to be 0, so it's kind of like not defined. So, and for the tangent is, and then for C, complete the following statement, and as the angle x increase from 0 to 90, and the tangent x increase from 0 to infinity. Okay, so number 11, and consider right triangle ABC shown, and referring to triangle ABC, write a rational number which represent the indicate trigonometry ratio. And for the A, and for the sine A is opposite, and 4 divided to 5, the hypotenuse, and for the cosine is 3 divided 5, and for tangent is 4 divided 3. And then for B, and for B is like this one, AC is opposite, so it's 3 over 5, and cosine is adjacent, 4 over 5. And then tangent is 3 over. And which pair of trigonometry ratio have the same value? And from here we can find is A equals to cosine B. And cosine A equals to sine B. And how do the values of tangent A and the tangent B relate to each other? And we can find they are reciprocal. Number 12. And draw a right triangle PQR in which P equals to 90 and Q equals to degree. Here, and P is 90, and we can say Q is X degree. So this is R. And for here, and when you draw the triangle, you can draw any way you want. And for this one, this is one way, and I can draw this way. This is P, and this is X, and this is Q, and this is R. Or I can also draw like this way, and this is the 90 degrees, so this is P, and this is Q, X, and this is R. Any way you want, okay? And then write the expression for the measure of R in terms of X. So this one, and we know like the angle R plus angle P plus angle Q equals to 180 degree, and for P, angle P is 90, so it's angle R plus angle Q equals to 90 degree, right? And put the value angle Q equals to X, so R plus X equals to 90. So angle R equals to 90 minus X. Okay. Explain why cosine X equals to 90 minus X. And for this one, if you remember problem 11 B part, and we know this, we find out this one, and then equals to what? Cosine X equals to PQ divide RQ, right? And we just find out that 90 x sine 90 minus X degree and equals to what? Equals to sine R. Because we find like angle R equals to 90 degree minus X. So sine 90 degree minus X equals to sine R, and sine R equals to what? And for the opposite, PQ divides to RQ. So these two are the same. And complete the following angle less than 90 degree. And for here, cosine 76, and we know this one based on the formula here, and we know it's 90 degree minus 76 degree, so it's sine 14 degree. And then cosine 13 degree and equals to 90 degree minus 13 degree, and then it's equal to sine 77 degree. Okay.